And my father and I were walking, through the park in my neighborhood in Chicago, and we saw these children running. And so my father challenged me. He said, "Dolly, I bet you can't run like that." So I did, and I beat them all. So the coach there said, "Oh my goodness, you really can run." So anyway, that's really how I first started running. Well, I attended parochial school, and there were no activities for children, for girls. So the coach of the boys team saw me running in the playground, and he began coaching me on the side. And by the time I was 16, I was ready. Well, anyway, in between that time, I had run in quite a few races, and fortunately, I won. So by the time I was 16, I was ready for national competition. I was running as an independent, and my first national meet was in Odessa, Texas. Well, the coach was very good friends with Bishop Sheen, and he sponsored me under the CYO. So he gave us money so that I could go by train and have a roomette, because Texas was like 2 days by train. So anyway, they purchased me a room on the train. Well, in those days, the black people sat in the front of the train so that when the smoke came, it would get them first. But I was way back, 22 cars back in this room by myself, so I really got lonesome. My coach was sitting up front. So I went through the coaches, and when I got to him, he said, "Mabel, what are you doing here? Go back and get your rest. You know you have a big meet tomorrow." And I said, "I'm so lonesome. It's so boring." He says, "Go back." So I went back, and I laid across the bed, and I fell asleep. And 6 o'clock the next morning, there was a banging on the door. It was the conductor. And he was saying, "You have to get out. We've just crossed the Mason-Dixon line. You have to go up front with the rest of the colors." I was overjoyed because I wanted to be up there with them anyway. So when I went through all these coaches again, my coach, he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Calm down." I said, "We've just crossed the Mason-Dixon line, and I have to come and join you." Well, he was visibly upset. Well, we went on to Odessa, and that's where I won my first gold in the 50-meter dash and in the long jump. Well, while I was there, 5 white girls from Chicago, the Chicago Hurricanes, I had run against them, when I was at home. They came up to me and they said, "Mabel, can we join your team?" I said, "Team?" I said, "I don't have a team. I'm the only one running." And so they said, "Oh, please ask your coach." So I asked the coach if they could join. He said, "Mabel, we don't have any money, but wait until we get back home and let's see what'll happen." So when we got back home, they sued the Illinois Central for them putting me out of the room. And they got enough money so that we could invite these girls to join me. And we became the first interracial track team in the Midwest. Okay, now I'm going to fast forward. Okay, our track team, our relay team, well, because I was a champion, they would send our team, the CYO team, money for me to fly to the event. But that would mean I would be going by myself. So I said, no, instead of sending me by plane, let's go by car, and more of the other girls could go. So we were on our way to the Tuskegee Relays in Tuskegee, Alabama. Our coach had hired this young man to drive 4 of us girls, the relay team. We got someplace in Georgia. We had this horrible accident, and the car went over and over and over. When the police came, they just couldn't believe that we weren't, the car was totaled, but we weren't harmed at all. So then they said, now what are we going to do with them? So one of the policemen said, well, there's an old colored lady across the tracks. Let's take them there so that they can regroup and get in touch with their coach. So he did. I called the coach, and he said, Mabel, you take a cab to the bus station, then take a bus on to Alabama. Tell the other girls just to stay there until he got there, until he sent for them. So I took the cab to the bus. When I got to the bus station, they said, oh my God, you just missed the last bus to Tuskegee. You'll have to wait in the waiting room. Well, they took me to the waiting room, and when I saw that waiting room, I refused to go in. I said, no, I'm not going in there. So one of the white agents, cashiers, came to me and whispered in my ear. He said, there is a bus going through Tuskegee. I could get you on that bus if you agree to stand and jump off at the red light. The bus driver would stop at the red light. Well, I think I was about 17, 18. And I said, okay, I will. I said, because I'm not going into that room. And the bus driver gave me, when we got to this red light, he gave me the signal. And I jumped off the bus. Oh gosh. And my mother, when she heard about it, she was devastated. But anyway, I made it safe. And in 1952, I went to the tryouts. They were in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And at that time, the American women weren't very strong. So in order to make the team, you had to jump as far as the 6th place person in the previous Olympics, or either run as fast as the 6th place person in the Olympics. Well, the long jump is always the first event. I was also a sprinter, but the long jump was the first event. There were 250 of us girls trying out, and I was the only one that made the standards. So I was the first one to make the team. So my coach said, Mabel, I'm going to scratch you from the running so that you can give someone else a chance. So that's why I ended up only jumping. Oh, this was just a book that I just wrote the whole story in, you know. Okay, of course, my mother was absolutely terrified when she heard. I haven't read this in a couple of years. My children often ask me how I survived all that segregation and discrimination. I told them that when I was in the 1st grade, and this is the truth, when I was in the 1st grade, the nun told the class that God loved us more. That's why he gave us color. And that has sustained me all my life. I told that story at Seton Hall in Chicago, and they just thought that was wonderful. At age 19, I went to the Olympic tryouts in Harrisburg, PA on July 4th, 1952. There were 250 participants. I was the only girl to make the team in the long jump. Okay, this is the Olympics. Back then, it wasn't so much about winning, but taking part. That's the truth. And I'll tell everyone today that the 52 Olympics was the last true Olympics because we were totally amateurs. And I know with me in college taking the physical ed course, they followed me and watched me to make sure I wasn't making money, you know, coaching and things like that. Okay, I was second going into the finals, and I committed 5 fouls. The coach told me to chop my steps so that I could get a fair jump on my last try. The winning jump was 20 feet, a quarter inch. My jump was 19 feet. I keep saying 6, but it was 19 feet, 3 inches. The first 10 of us were within a foot of the winning jump. My jump was the highest an American woman had placed in the event until that time. Note that through 2008, only 7 American long jumpers have done better at the Games. In 1955, I competed in the Pan American Games in Mexico City. I won a gold medal in the 4x100 relay and a bronze in the 60-meter dash. There was no long jump, which was my specialty. I was also the USA record holder in the long jump and the 50-meter dash, and a 7-time national AAU All-American team member. So from 1949 to 1955, I was All-American. In 1954, I received my Bachelor of Arts degree from DePaul. I'm a 30-year New Jersey track and field official. Now it's 31. I must have wrote this, okay. In 1987, I received my master's degree from Glassboro. I'm a 50-plus member of my sorority. I received the Gold Star Achievement Award. I was elected to the Fisk Hall of Fame. In 2008, I was invited to attend the groundbreaking of DePaul's track. What an honor. I also received the Rosa Parks Award from the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, being one of their outstanding women. In 2009, I received the New Jersey Track and Field Officials Association Award. 2010, I received the New Jersey Track and Field Lifetime Achievement Award. January 2011, I was elected to DePaul's University's Athletic Hall of Fame. April of 2011, the NAACP gave me their Visionary Leader Award. May 2011, I received the South Jersey Unsung Hero Award. In September 2011, the Chicago Sports Hall of Fame. They invited me and inducted me into the Chicago Hall of Fame with the likes of Michael Jordan, Walter Payton, and Muhammad Ali. Presently, I am actively officiating track meets and mentoring young ladies whenever I'm called. This is the Helsinki, Finland, 1952. And that was my, this must have been the Pan American. Mexico, yeah. Here's a gold, silver, and bronze. That's the Rosa Parks Award. This was South Jersey, honoring unsung heroes. And this one, the NAACP Award. And these were just volunteers. I just volunteered. Here's one. That was over in Helsinki. These are memoirs from them because these were my All-American certificates. I started off one place, and then I made the team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 1953. Here's 1954. Here's the girls from DePaul. They came and joined me. I was in magazines. Oh boy, what memories. And you'll have to give up a lot of things that that you would like to go to for practice if you one day want to be an Olympian. Practice, practice, practice. And eliminate smoking in any kind of drugs. I guess that's not necessary if they're in the sports, but that's the secret, to really to practice and don't give up. You may not win today, but just try a little harder.